you know, you got a smaller group this year than last year, and you got kind of a mix of younger guys and older ones. But I guess especially when you have those two veteran corners, I guess what does that allow you to do in terms of from a coaching standpoint when you got so many, you know, first year eligible type guys?
Yeah, again with Rico and Nye, just allows again, you know, they have had a bunch of reps, you know, and played in games. So it allows me not to get them so many reps in the spring and allow the other guys to sit there and catch up rep-wise. So the way that I kind of do the practice is they'll get, like if we have a 10-play series, they'll get 3 of them. And then I'll give the rest of the younger guys all the rest of the reps. And then they do a great job of just coaching those guys up. They do, you know, when we have our meetings, they do extra meetings with the young guys just because it's a top-heavy old guys and top-heavy super young guys. You know, I'm saying super young guys because none of them have played. So just allows me in the spring to get those guys kind of caught up with a lot more reps.
Luke had said that Rico looks bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
What have you seen that physical maturation and difference do for him on the field?
Yeah, we challenged him at the end of the year of just making sure that he changed his body. Because, again, when you get that old, what do you challenge him on? Like, he knows all the defense. He knows how to play the game. So now you challenge him on different things and changing his body. So we challenged him on getting up to 190. We challenged him on getting his body fat down, which he did. And he did an excellent job swimming, you know, running on the underwater treadmill and all that stuff. And he changed his body, so he's bigger now. He looks bigger. I think it just gives him confidence now that he got the shoulder fix and everything to be able to tackle. Because that is the one thing, again, that I've challenged him on. Jamar Fletcher has talked to him about that, of being a small guy. If you want to go to the next level and succeed at the next level, you're going to have to be able to bring it. And you got to be able to tackle. And it was great for Jamar to sit there and talk to him just because he's a short guy and had to do the exact same thing. And you know how, if you guys know Jamar, he ain't lost of words. You know, he was like, I don't care if you hurt or shoulder or whatever. You gotta freaking tackle. You know, so, but those are the things I think with him changing his body gives him the confidence to be able to throw his body in there a little bit more.
How did that whole thing with Jamar come about? Was he just in town, or did you guys know just from a historical standpoint, here's a smaller guy that you know Rico could relate with?
When I first got the job, I reached out to Jamar just because, again, it's Jamar, you know, and a great asset to sit there and just communicate with and talk to on kind of like his path on how he did it. And it wasn't really necessarily just Rico, but the whole group. You know, Jamar is not one that likes to like do a Zoom and talk to the whole group. He likes it personal. So he was like, hey, anytime the guys want to call me, have them call me. We'll connect somehow, some way. And that's kind of how it happened.
We were talking with Luke about Emilio and his progress yesterday. Just what have you seen from him in terms of maybe where he ended last season to now and the confidence he's playing with?
Yeah, the big thing with Emilio is discipline and consistency. And that's what I challenge him on. Very talented. It had nothing to do with talent. It just has to be with the discipline and the consistency. And don't put too much pressure on yourself on wanting to get here real fast. And don't be result driven. Just be process driven. So every single day, just get out there and get a little bit better. And those are the things that he's been doing. He's been doing a great job of getting himself better every day and just focusing on the process. Again, with young guys, it's always their eyes. The eyes get him in trouble, and that's the one thing that he had to work on is on his eyes, because he's not afraid to hit. He's got very good cover skills. We just got to work a little bit on the fine tune of being disciplined and consistent with his eyes.
And Luke was talking about him yesterday. He said he's kind of naturally aggressive, and that paid off for him maybe in high school even more than it does now. Is that kind of what you're talking about, that discipline, knowing when that shot's there?
And that's all those young guys. Him, Cairo, Jameer, like all of those guys in high school just stared in the backfield and go see ball, go get ball. It was that type of deal. Where now on this level, there's a lot more things that you have to see. There's a lot of shifting and motion that's happening, and you get your eyes in trouble. So those are things, especially when you get a multitude of reps. When you go 1 or 2 reps like you did before, you could probably hide and get away with it. Now you're getting 40, 50 reps, and now it kind of shows a little bit more. But those are exactly the things that you just got to make sure that your eyes are in the right spot, especially at this position. Every position, but this position, your eyes get you in trouble more than anything.
Coach Tressel had mentioned the necessity to create game-changing plays on defense.
Yeah.
And when he said that, he was referencing the defensive line, but does that necessity extend to defensive backs, cornerbacks?
Yeah, that's us as a whole defense. It's hard to win games on this level without takeaways and be in the plus of takeaways. Offenses are too good, you know, and that's why we call them takeaways, because they're not going to give them to you. So it's not just interceptions, also too. It's you know, forcing fumbles, and the only way that you can do that is population to the ball, and you have violent hands on the ball. So those are the things that we're concentrating on to make sure that our guys understand that, like, one guy shouldn't just make the tackle. It comes, you know, it happens some of the times, but even if he does, he still has to have the ball on his mind. And that's the only way that that's going to happen is if you watch the NFL, they are intentional about punching at the ball. And those are things that we've concentrated on this spring that we have to make sure that we do to be successful and to have a top-tier defense.
As far as Nigeria goes, you know, he's got this court thing going off to the side. I guess I'm wondering what's kind of stood out to you about just his approach and his focus as he's kind of
Transition back.
Yeah, back and kind of, you know, off to the side, kind of maybe, you know, worry about these other things.
Yeah, Nye is super focused, and he's a hard worker. He's always worked hard. You know, he's one of those guys that you kind of got to watch a little bit because he's only got one speed to go. You know, we haven't even talked about the other thing. It's just, you know, he's full steam ahead and focused like crazy. Great leader. I think finally now Nye has kind of gotten to the mode that, you know, he can speak. He's a leader. I think, again, with transferring, it's always hard for the transfers to come in and just kind of, but now, again, this is a part of his room. And, you know, you can see the leadership, you know, in him growing like crazy. But super pleased with Nye. Nye, again, will only continue to get better.
We've seen Latimer take a lot of those first-team reps in that nickel spot. How do you feel about maybe developing some other guys in that role and seeing what Latimer can do after a little bit of experience there in his previous stops?
Yeah, I love him. He's a dog. When they say dog, he is a Rottweiler with teeth. All right, and there's a difference. There's some guys that are Rottweilers without teeth, and that's just a big dog, right? He's a Rottweiler with teeth. That dude can go. He plays hard, plays physical. You know, we had him at corner at the beginning of it, and we moved him into nickel. The other guy that's done a great job there and got even better is Owen Arnett. Watch the last couple of days, last couple of practices. Owen has made plays, and, you know, competition only makes you better. And I will say this about Owen, and again, when we move Jameer there's a lot of times the players will get down. You know, I mean, Owen's an older dude. He knows what's going on, been around. He grabbed Jameer and said, hey, if you need help, if you need anything, make sure you come to me. And to me, that's what Badgers are about. That's what this team is about, of guys like that who know that you're going to go from first team getting all those reps to second team, and then you go to the guy and you tell him. That's exactly what we're trying to build here.
What about your first impressions of Jameer Scott, both positive and negative?
Jameer, again, young dude, that, again, is his eyes. Stares in the backfield. So those are all things that are kind of like universal for young guys, like I said earlier. But you look at him, he's very, very smooth. He does some things natural with his movement, and we call it the scooch technique. That there's some guys you got to teach that, and he just does it natural. Got good movement skills, and he ain't afraid. That's the one thing about these young guys. They are not afraid. They will sit there and just go. So he's very, very talented. He's going to continue to get better too. I love the young dudes.
What about Hill? What's kind of stood out to you about Deani?
Yeah, Deani Hill. Yeah, Deani's a hitter. You know, that's the one thing about him is he ain't afraid of contact. And that's a lot of times when you know, kind of get the older corners, and, you know, sometimes they just want to cover and do those things. The dude loves to hit. And that's where, again, he's played a lot of football. He played at Marshall. He played at Miami. So there's a lot of knowledge of the game and football, you know, and it is different here as far as what we asked him to sit there and do. So he's got to continue to catch up on that and just the culture of it. But, again, there's a lot of times, you know, it's hard to sit there and get guys to go compared to hold them back. You know, I'd rather have a dude I got to hold back than a guy I got to push, and you ain't got to push him because he will go.
Paul, you're obviously a veteran in the coaching world. And
Old.
Small time. Well, I'm not saying that, but with all the changes that have happened in the sport and for players in the last few years, has it become different or more challenging to form relationships with guys when the business side of it is coming in more and more?
You know what? I really don't think so. You know, relationship is a relationship. And I think, again, it's the trust part of it, of telling the truth. And I think, you know, time, consistency, and proof with the trust element of, you know, being honest with them, being truthful with them, and being real with them, you know. I think that is still a part of the relationship that will never change, you know, depending on, I mean, again, it's just getting closer to, you know, so the NFL, you know. And I think Coach Fick does a great job with us of kind of keeping us out of that part of it, the business part of it, so we can focus on the, you know, the relationship and the coaching, regardless of how much a guy makes, you know. I mean, if you're a coach and you upset that guys are making money or more than you, then that's your ego, in my opinion, you know. But shoot, relationships are relationships, you know, and it takes time. You know, and I think that's our job as coaches, to build that relationship. It's not the kids' job. It's our job to build that relationship. And it's just being honest and upfront, being real with them, you know. When it gets you is when you sit there and try to, you know, BS them. You know, don't BS them. Just tell them the truth.
Talking about relationships, how's it been working with Coach Cooper in tandem in the secondary?
Awesome. Coop's been here for a couple years and has worked with us. And you know, when you get a guy that's been a coordinator, I think the one thing, again, when you get guys that are like coordinators or been head coaches, you get guys with big picture thinking. And it's not just about your position; it's about the, you know, the quality of the whole defense. And you know, me and him, we talk all the time. We watch film all the time. We're, you know, always sitting there throwing off ideas and, you know. Just sitting there and just making sure our guys, that's the one thing that we have done different since we have been here. We meet a lot together as a secondary. It's not corner safeties, it's just secondary. And that's one of the things that I you know, like, because he'll hold the meeting one time, I'll hold the meeting the next time, because we want our guys to know that we are a secondary. We're not just corners, safeties, nickels, whatever. Even though each guys are coached differently, we are a group and we got to all be on the same page. So it's been awesome to work with him. Very, very good young coach, very good defensive mind, got a bright future. I'll tell him I'll be his get-back coach one day, you know. So when he's a head coach, I'll be his get-back coach one day.
Anything else for Coach here?